times. I really believe that a state, and the Antichrist, I believe, as you said, I believe the Antichrist is on earth. And if you're not careful, if you believe what a lot of people have been saying, that we won't know who he is, Jesus says we will. Jesus said we'll see him. Do you believe that, or you can preach what you believe?
Yeah, well, here's something that goes along with what you're saying that we talked about yesterday. Remember the Zohar, the 700-year-old prophecy from the Orthodox priests who said that following the year 2012, Rome would be destroyed? Yeah. That's not the whole prophecy. Guess what else they said? They said in the year 2012, because this is in a subsection of the Zohar called Signs Heralding Mashiach. It's in the Be'era section of the Zohar. They said in the year 2012, the Messiah. Now, because they didn't accept Jesus as Messiah, guess who they're talking about? They say in 2012, the Messiah will make himself secretly known to the rabbis in Israel that are watching for him. And then, over a period of a few years, he's going to start making himself known to all of the world. If that prophecy is true, and there are many, many highly placed rabbis that revere the Zohar, and they study it. So if somebody revealed himself to these priests in Israel, maybe that's why all of a sudden the altar has just been built and dedicated for the sacrifices. There's a new call for the building of a third temple. Even members of the Knesset now are talking about returning prayers to the Temple Mount and the possibility of building a temple. I think some highly placed people in Jerusalem think that their man is here. That's what I think.
Wow.
I think they believe it. And he's slowly going to start making himself known to the world.
108-year-old rabbi who left.
Yeah,
right.
the other author that you had.
Carl Gallup. Yes, Carl Gallup with
right.
the book.
The rabbi who found Messiah. Could that go along with what you're saying?
It possibly could, yeah.
I mean, his funeral
he's the expert on that and not me.
But I'm telling you, it's coming together.
Yeah.
You know, if you're working a puzzle, you bring all the pieces together, and you put the final pieces in, it says, oh, that's what that was. It's happening right now. So there's so much in ancient prophecies of 2012 to what, 2016, 2020?
Well, there were those that put a time frame of 2012 to 2016. I'm just now learning from my good brother here, who also starts with 2012, that there are additional steps.
What do you think could happen in this year yet? I think this is an epic year. I want to give out today this book, The Final Pope. I want you to see the whole prophecy, all the popes, all about this that was written, what was written. The final pope is here. Petrus Romanus. I'm not good at this. Help me, Tom.
You got it. Petrus Romanus.
And Exo Vaticana. This is about so much. Tell us quickly.
This is about what's happening on top of a mountain in Mount Graham that might be connected to Cern that we'll talk about in the next program.
Really?
Opening doorway. They basically want the keys.
The portals to heaven, right?
They want the keys to the gateways.
And most of it's all secret. Boy, he's unveiled a lot of secrets. This is a big book. Boy, it's exciting when you read the prophecies and read the word and then see it coming to pass as you're watching it.
Any day now, the Pope is going to issue a rare encyclical. And for those that don't understand Catholicism, this is an authoritative document. And then there's times when he speaks as a pastor, but as an authority who tells the church there are certain things that morally they need to believe and practice. That's what an encyclical is. So he's writing an authoritative document, and it is on the environment. If you listen to what the Pope is saying, he's talking about human ecology, carbon footprints. He's using all this language out of the United Nations, which are Agenda 21 type issues. That's what he's talking about. This is the kind of stuff that would make people in blue eye pull guns out of their closets, right? Because they're going to start telling you how you can use your land, or if you even can own private property. They're already doing this in some states in the U.S. right now, where they're telling people they can't even collect rainwater to put in their cisterns for emergency backup water.
And so what you're saying is taking place.
It is taking place. But I think when you look at the Pope creating an encyclical, there's several things happening here. One, you're getting a marriage of religion and politics, which we've always known has to happen for the arrival of the Antichrist system. But Agenda 21 stuff takes away property rights, tells you can or can't own a car, tells you how many kids you would be allowed to have because we have to restrict the amount of your carbon footprint, all kinds of rules and regulations, which, by the way, the language was already written in the United Nations. It just hasn't been mandated to member states. But now you have the Pope who is going to issue an encyclical that then has to be sent to every bishop and then goes to all 1.2 billion Catholics in the world to tell them that they now have a moral responsibility. Oh. So this gives all kinds of weight to the United Nations, and I don't know what the sensitivities are in our U.S. government to try to impose environmental restrictions. So that is one part of it. That's one part that could be a big piece of giving the machine gun to the United Nations to tell us what we can and cannot do in countries like the United States, which isn't going to sit well in Missouri, and that's why I live here, right?
Well, last week our government basically said they're going to turn Israel over to the UN.
No, that's right. Now, there's another...
That scares me, because I know as long as we stand up for Israel, God stands up for us.
Right.
And every time we've turned our back on Israel, tragedy, basic, heavy tragedies come to America.
Right. One other thing about this encyclical is whether or not it will include any kind of language that smacks of Gaia-ism. The idea that the earth is a living, sentient entity. This is real old paganism. And it comes from all of the oldest cultures of the world where they had the mother goddess worship. So Gaia, Diana, Hecate, all these mother goddesses that were worshipped, they were the earth. So you had God the Father is in heaven. He's going to make it rain on the earth and all that. But the earth is our mother. You know these old jokes, it's not nice to fool Mother Nature. But that's where that comes from. And the Catholic Church has had sentimentalities about that for a long time. The way they have deified Mary, they've also kind of used some of that same language in referring to the earth. Now, if this encyclical, and I don't think it will, by the way, but if it includes that kind of information, it opens one other very important, and this was what my Catholic priest friend emailed me about. One other important thing, he says, watch to see if any of the language includes what is called many earths. Now, this would be foreign to almost everybody here, but deep theology at the Vatican, especially among the Opus Dei level theologians, is a theory they espouse to call many earths, which means they believe that there might be a coalition of worlds, all kinds of worlds like this one in other places, right? Where there are people like us living there. They have a relation. That's why they talk about our space brothers and all that other stuff. But here's if you want to understand many earths in kind of a very novel way, you remember the old classic movie, The Day the Earth Stood Still?
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Scared the bejeebers out of me when I was a boy, right?
Yeah.
Big giant robot and guy coming down. But that classic movie, which was the best really, the threat was nuclear warfare. So they're coming down to tell us you've grown up enough now, but you're part of a coalition of worlds, and you didn't know it until now. And we've been watching you, and you finally grew up, so you're made nuclear warhead, and we're going to let you know that you can't take that outside of this planet. If you're going to expand these nuclear arms, we're going to toast you like a cinder, right? And so we get the warning. Well, that movie was remade last year. This time when the giant and the alien come down, we learn that humans are the germ. Humans, because of our impact on the environment. They had changed the whole storyline there. And this is what I was told. Watch to see if there's any of this many worlds stuff hidden in the language of this Pope's encyclical, because he is a many worlder, like most of the Jesuits are. This is crazy stuff, right?
Wow.
Yeah,
I mean, you want to cue the Twilight Zone theme music,
right? Exactly.
But these are some heavyweight people that believe this.
And this goes along with the observatory that you went to.
Right. Well,
that the Catholic Church owns the average person has no idea the Catholic Church owns the biggest observatory in the world, probably.
Well, they are part of an observation group Who owns the observatory on the Mount Graham is the Vatican, it's NASA, it's Arizona State University, it's astronomy groups all around the world. But it was the Vatican that got with NASA to go up, and they literally forced themselves onto the. They had to do an in-run around environmental law to allow them to even build on that mountain. So somebody at the Vatican was deeply in the back pocket of the governor, because they bent rules that can't otherwise be bent to build on the top of that mountain. But after we came down, that's why there's a third book on this. Well, I guess I'll have to come back at some time maybe.
Yes.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
The third book is called On the Path of the Immortals. Want to know why?
Why?
Because when we came down off the mountain, we thought we knew everything. Brother, we're patting ourselves on the back. We're King Kong and Godzilla all rolled into one. We got to go where no man has gone before. And then we get contacted by the Apache Nation. And one of them wants to let us know what we think we know about Mount Graham is only a very small part of the puzzle. In their belief system, Mount Graham is a gateway. It's a portal to another dimension. And that's why the Vatican wanted on the top of that mountain. And that's what they're observing in deep space. And Malachi Martin, remember in 1979, Art Bell's interviewing Father Malachi Martin, an insider of insider from the Vatican. And he says, Father, why did the Vatican force its way onto a mountain in Arizona, and why are they studying deep space? You know what his answer was? He said, because at the highest levels of the Vatican government, they know what is approaching the earth, and that it will be of the utmost importance in coming years. And furthermore, he put a 10-year timeline on it, and 10 years to the date, the Vatican called together an astronomy study week at the Pontifical Academy in Rome, the Pope's scientists, right? And they came together for one reason, to study the detection of alien life and its impact on religion and society. And 90 days later, when the oldest scientific body in the world, the Royal Society, came together, they came together for exactly the same reason, the detection of alien intelligence and the impact on society. These are the brainiest people in the world that came together right when Father Martin said this would become of importance. So something right now is sitting there. Something is sitting there. They think they have knowledge. In fact, the Lucifer device that they use on the top of Mount Graham.
That's what they call it.
Yeah. Is infrared.
Why would they name it Lucifer? That's pretty strange.
Yeah. Yeah, why would they? Is it because they think they titled it something they're using it to observe? Do they think they know something is coming?
This year, 2015, this is an epic day today. We're at the equinox. We're halfway through this year. What do you think from all these prophecies you've studied, of the prophecy of the Pope, will take place this year perhaps? In 2015, just to go through it again, just what should we look to see now? So people, you know, I'm supposed to be a teacher, but that's why I repeat everything all the time, because I want people to learn. But could you give us a few things?
Well, there's so much. First of all, we started out talking yesterday about the Islamic State. They definitely are trying to draw the army of Rome. That's exactly what they want. Now, they're trying to draw us down into Dabiq. We talked about all of that yesterday. And for people, you know, people look at Dabiq and they say, well, why in the world would anybody fight a battle there? It's like, a bunch of, going to bomb some cows? It's just a bunch of land. There's about 3,000 people that live there. But think of it as the Islamic version of Megiddo. Because Megiddo also doesn't have any, you know, great international geopolitical importance about it. It's maybe a tourist trap or something. And yet prophecy tells us that that is exactly where this final battle is going to wind up, so that blood flows to a horse's bridle. This is a horrific war, right? Mm-hmm. Well, Dabiq is the Islamic version of Megiddo. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be a place. In fact, it's probably more important that it's not a well-populated area because of the trap they can set for those that they draw down there. I think they're going to do a bunch of atrocious things, continue to do a bunch of atrocious things. When this coalition army comes together, they're probably all going to go to Dabiq to draw us down there. And then what? A nuke? Biological warfare? They are preparing something, because this is what they believe. And then the earth really is going to rattle. That other brother that wrote about the fifth
the
fifth trumpet,
yes,
and
Carl
the sixth trumpet, Carl Gallup.
Yeah.
that you had on the show this week?
Yes.
Think about what he is talking about, where the Islamic nation has centered around the great Euphrates River. The way that river runs from Turkey down through Syria, Iraq, it's literally their stomping grounds. And yet read what the Bible says is going to happen there when the trumpet sounds and these powerful angels come up out of the ground. See, they're expecting the Mahdi to come out of the ground. I think something is going to come out of the ground. They're going to come up out, and it says they're going to wipe out 1/3 of humanity, these powerful angels. We are literally marching right now on top of the very area that the Bible tells us the angels that have been bound in the great river Euphrates, preserved for this hour, are going to come out, and 1/3 of humanity is going to be wiped out.
Wow. And why would the Pope want to create rules for war when those who have vowed to destroy them and us, the United States, Israel, the Vatican, whatever, they don't keep the rules? Does anybody ever get it? That's why Congress does not want to make a deal with Iran. It's simple. That's as simple. Iran's not going to keep a deal. The Bible says, you got to read the Bible once in a while. The Bible says they're going to sit around tables and tell lies. They're making deals. They're making agreements. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's time. I got one more question, and John's coming on.
Okay.
I'm biting at the bit.
Can't wait. It's something, it's called Cern. It makes me very concerned. C-E-R-N. The Hadron, I think it's pronounced, Hadron Collider. Okay? It's turned on 2 days from today, so when you watch the show, it's already on. Unless they have a breakdown. Do you want to tell the people what it is? I have pictures. There it is on the screen.
Yeah.
This is the biggest machine in the world. How many until today did not know about this? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Come on. That's almost 100%. 99% of this audience never heard of this. This is the biggest machine ever made in the world in history. I believe it's 17 miles long. It's in France and Switzerland. If you see a map, the map, it's a circle.
Yeah. It would be almost 5 miles across.
And the reason they buried it under the ground is because they might have an oops. And you know, back when we were testing nuclear warheads, we'd take them deep down underneath the earth because you wouldn't want to blow one of these up on the surface of the earth, right?
Right.
I'm curious how they got permission to dig that many miles under France and under Switzerland. And this is what the headline, I don't know if it's just this week, I think. This is the headline. Stephen Hawking, he called the God particle could destroy the universe. He keeps warning. He's supposed to be one of the most brilliant minds ever in history. And he keeps warning that he calls it God particles. Do you understand this at all?
Well, the Higgs,
I don't.
The Higgs boson is traditionally called the God particle, and part of what they want to do with the Coilider, it's not the only thing they're doing there, is they want to see if they can discover the Higgs boson, or the God particle. Essentially, we Christians would say they're looking for how God holds everything together. That's why they call it the God particle.
Well, I read where it's what you're made up of. And what all matter, I guess, is made up of.
That's exactly right. It's what we're made up of. It's also what's holding us together. They're trying to find Jesus, but they don't want to find Jesus. So they're trying to find what is it that holds all matter together. That's one of the things they're looking for. What Cern does, that big circle, it accelerates particles in that big circle around and around and around and around until they're traveling at just enormous velocity, and then they collide these particles together. And in that moment, it creates a moment that they think is kind of how the Big Bang started the whole universe. That's the whole purpose behind it. However, they also believe that there are parallel realities around us, other dimensions, and there could be other intelligence there. Another thing we Christians already know, right? Why not just come and ask us? You don't need to build a collider. However, there's a reason God put them on the other side of that veil, and you might not want to open the door.
No.
And here's the thing. Their own director of Cern has gave interviews to the British press in which he admits that's what they're trying to do. They want to open a door to another dimension. And he said, when we open this door, he said, something might come through it into our reality, or he said, we might send something through it into their reality. You can look that up. It's in the British press. Where the Cern was built, this is St. Genus Powili. That's the name of the township. But in ancient days, guess what it was called? It was called Apolliacum. It was literally a temple to the god Apollo because they believed that's the gateway to the underworld.
I saw a goddess. And I was looking at all these pictures. That's her.
Shiva. Actually, they built. They have the god, the Hindu god of destruction that destroys at the molecular level, is right out in front of the offices of Cern, and it's dedicated to Shiva.
I'm going to put it on the screen. You'll show it.
It's so
because I've seen it, and I said, "This is a false god." What in? I couldn't find anything about it because I need to get some books and read a little bit more. But you go online and type in the Hadron, or you can actually type in Cern. Cern comes up with all of it as well. And all the pictures, it's the most beautiful. I mean, it's like Satan. It's the most beautiful thing. I mean, for a guy, it's like the biggest Tinker Toys in the world. I mean, it's beyond the blues, the reds, the colors in this thing. And yet, there's a goddess at the offices, where they go to work there, that build this thing. And you say, well, it's not important for us to know. It's time for the church to stop glorifying ignorance.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
That's good.
He said, I don't want that day to come upon you unaware.
Yeah.
Tom, help me out. You have a brilliant mind.
Oh, my goodness.
You have an inquiring mind, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I'm kind of like you. I have a dangerous mind.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
Just get in trouble all the time.
Yeah.
Do you want to say anything else about that? Because I got one last question, then we're going to...
Just that's it, that it's named after Apolliacum, the gateway to the god Apollo. But what does the book of Revelation say? Yeah, absolutely, that an angel comes down with a key to the bottomless pit and opens that gateway. And guess who is the god down in there? The king over the bottomless pit, Apollyon, Abaddon, the king of the bottomless pit. And we're trying right there to open a gateway
smart, lady.
that is, yeah.
The front row lady.
Yeah, I'll get her to make some notes for me. I'll use them next time.
Incredible.
Yeah.
This is shocking.
Jim, can I say one comment here?
And I knew, John, because you know what's going on.
Well,
go ahead.
you know, when we was talking back there, I said, you know, it sounds to me like you're describing they're trying to open the door, to the gate to hell.
Right.
Okay? Well, here's the thought. God literally sealed and locked demons into the earth that would not be released until the last days. And now we have evidence that man is the one that's trying to open the door and release them.
Right.
It's really crazy. It's right there in Revelation 9.
You know,
right?
if I was a teenager, I would really be excited about this. Because they love supernatural. They love all the drama.
Sasha's over here going crazy.
I really am.
She's
Honestly,
like this.
I'm listening to this conversation and I'm taking notes. Like my format is completely full. But as you're talking about the bottomless pit, I'm like, wait, we just learned this yesterday. I'm flipping to Revelation 9, reading along with what you're teaching. You're not even teaching from the Bible per se, but you're just teaching what they're doing. And I'm reading it out of my Bible, literally. This is what we talk about every day on the show when we say we're living in the Revelation times. And when you can open your Bible, read the news, and they go parallel together, these are the times we're living in.